It's Friday, everyone. What do we do on Fridays here at the Hint Hive? That's right, we smash the patriarchy. Hey there, my beautiful rebels. Welcome back to the Hint Hive, Amplifying Women's Voices, the podcast where we burn outdated rulebooks and rewrite the damn script for women everywhere. I'm your host, Kelly Hint, queen bee of this hive, feminist life coach, psychotherapist, and your personal hype woman for living unapologetically free. Today, we are going deep, like grab your emotional flashlight deep, into a topic that so many women carry silently. Why women are expected to fix toxic family dynamics. All right, my friends, let's be real. If there's a family feud, we are often called to be the peacemakers. If there's an explosive holiday dinner, we are told to keep things light. And when it comes to dysfunctional relatives who drain the oxygen out of every room, it is often somehow our responsibility to manage it all while smiling like nothing is wrong. But, newsflash, you didn't break it, therefore you don't have to fix it. So let's talk about why this happens, because this pressure isn't random. It's actually the result of generations of cultural conditioning, rooted in everything from Victorian ideals of female self-sacrifice to the mid-20th century domestic roles, all teaching women to keep the peace at any cost, often sacrificing their own needs in the process. But what makes me really happy is I see new generations pushing back against that. But again, let's go back to talking about the patriarchal conditioning. So historically, women were cast as the nurturers and emotional managers, right? Fast forward to 2025, and research from the APA, which is the American Psychological Association, it still shows that women perform the majority of emotional labor in families, smoothing conflicts, checking in on everyone, carrying the invisible weight of harmony, and often being expected to anticipate emotional needs before anyone even asks. But like I said a second ago, it's getting better, but there is still this expectation. And then we've got the good daughter myth, right? We have been told that good girls sacrifice. A good daughter forgives endlessly, even when it hurts her. A good sister mediates until she's drained. A good mother keeps everyone else comfortable, even if it means silencing her own needs and abandoning her well-being. There was this, I don't know if it was a meme on Facebook or what it was, but there was something going around that had said, let's see if I can remember it. It was basically talking about motherhood and the secrets that we keep. And one of them was, yes, we did actually want that last piece of cake. Or yes, we actually didn't want to do this, but we did it anyway. And that to me just really hits home, and it really highlights what I'm talking about here, the self-sacrifice. I can tell you I've done it a million times, especially when it came to my kids. If there was pizza and I was still hungry, and someone asked, hey, do you want the last piece? My answer was always no. I'm hoping that is changing in society, but I don't have a whole lot of hope given the conversations that I have with a lot of the women that I work with. There's still that self-sacrifice expectation. And then we've got the cultural double standards, right? Men can withdraw from family drama without any judgment. But when women step back, suddenly we're labeled cold, selfish, or the problem, as if setting boundaries is some sort of betrayal rather than an act of self-preservation. And again, like the women that I've worked with, when I help them to start pushing back on this, on these unhealthy family dynamics, the family often gets upset. They don't like them in therapy anymore because the person that I'm working with is suddenly no longer playing their assigned role in the family dysfunction. And, all of this conditioning, it trains women to believe that their worth is directly tied to how well they keep broken systems functioning. But here's the raw truth. That is not love. That is emotional servitude disguised as duty. And it's time to call it out. Call it what it is. We're done with this, right? We don't need to keep up with these patriarchal norms that continue to oppress. And yes, oppression happens in many different flavors, many different forms, many different levels of severity. And I'm going to keep calling it oppression until all genders are equal. Now, let me give you a real life example of the family fixer, right? Okay, I just lied to you. Not a real life example, because I can't give real life examples based on my work because I'm a therapist and I cannot disclose what we talk about. But I made up an example. So here we go. So take Tiffany. Every holiday, she's the one diffusing her parents' arguments, checking in on her brother who refuses to show up on time, and comforting her mother when the tension becomes unbearable. By the end of the night, Tiffany's emotionally wrung out, yet no one ever thanks her. Why? Because the family has come to expect her unpaid emotional labor as part of the package. That is her family role. She has been assigned the role of fixer. And I'm sorry, but this is not care. It is not love. It is a cycle of silent expectation that keeps her drained and invisible. And again, I'm telling you, I often talk with my patients and my clients about assigned family roles and how to break out of them. And let me tell you, when we start doing that work, their families lose their minds. I cannot tell you the amount of times that my people tell me that their family members want them to stop going to therapy. The family does not like when either my patient or my client is no longer playing their part in the dysfunction. And that tells me that I am doing my job. Because when it comes to family dysfunction, we need to get at the root of the issue. We need to stop playing our part in it. I know of families who label people, like label all their kids. Oh, that's Johnny. He's the playful one. He's so happy-go-lucky. He's such a clown. And there's Betty. I don't know where I'm pulling these names from, by the way. But, Betty always makes everybody smile. She cares so much about everyone. Well, what if Betty doesn't want to? Has anyone asked Betty if she wants to be the family fixer? Because chances are she is exhausted. And Johnny, who's busy being the clown, maybe he doesn't want to laugh today. And let me tell you, even these dynamics even play out in the workplace. Shockingly, I can be a bit of an outspoken person. I know. You're shocked at this, right? So in family meetings, here we go. In business meetings, if I would be attending a meeting and I was not my usual outspoken self, everybody thought something was wrong. And everybody thought I had an attitude. And everybody thought this, that, and the other. Because they were used to me being the one to speak up and call things out and call BS on what was going on and start fixing it. And if I wasn't playing that role, people started filling in the blanks with what they thought I should be doing because I wasn't doing my assigned role. You know something? Shocker, sometimes I have quiet days. Sometimes, and they are becoming more and more frequent, I want quiet. I want peace. I want solitude. I don't want to jump in and rescue everyone. Somebody else needs to step up and be the assertive one, which is why I have this damn podcast, because I am trying so hard to encourage people to step into their true selves, to speak up for themselves, to fight their own battles instead of having one designated person doing it, or instead of wanting to do it, but being too scared to do it. Do not let that fear stop you. And I'm telling you, if you have that inner warrior inside of you and you know she's there and you just don't know how to get her to come out, reach out to me because I can help you do exactly that. The transformations I have seen with the women that I work with are freaking amazing. I wish I could give you a list of these badass women, but I can't because of confidentiality. But I'm telling you, they are powerhouses now. And I want every woman who has that within her to let it come out. And now don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you that every woman has to be this way. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm simply saying, if you want to be her, let me teach you, because I can. If you like being passive, that is fine too. But don't do it at the cost of your own sanity, at the cost of your own happiness. The cost of playing the family fixer is high. So let's talk about what this actually costs you, because it's not just an inconvenience to always be the one to patch things up. It is soul deep. Let's talk about burnout and resentment, right? When you're constantly putting out emotional fires, it's like trying to run a marathon without air. You eventually collapse. That's when resentment creeps in. And showing up authentically feels impossible because you are running on fumes instead of strength. Burnout is not the badge of honor that we think it is, or that we have been conditioned to think it is. And then the other piece about being the fixer is you start to lose your identity. You lose sight of who you are beyond the role of the responsible one or the peacemaker. Your dreams, your desires, and even basic self-care get buried under the weight of family drama until you barely recognize yourself. That cost is too freaking high. And now I'm going to say something that doesn't make me feel good to say it, but I have to. I have to call it out. When you play the role of family fixer, you are enabling toxicity. See, it doesn't sound good, does it? It doesn't feel good if this is your family role to hear that. Because every time you smooth things over, you reinforce the cycle. You become the emotional glue holding together something that probably needs to break wide open so that real healing or healthy distance can finally happen. And then there's the physical impact on you. Chronic stress from family conflict doesn't just weigh on your mind. It hits your body too, often triggering anxiety, insomnia, digestive issues, and even long-term burnout-related health problems. Literally, being the family fixer can cause you health issues. It sounds crazy, but I promise you it's not. My friends, as a therapist, I have seen countless women break this cycle. Sometimes it has been because they have reached out to me because their physical health has taken a hit, and that was their line in the sand. But you know something? While it isn't easy to break this cycle, it's the single most liberating and empowering act of self-preservation that you can give yourself. If I were able to connect each of you listeners with all of the women that have successfully broken the cycle that I've worked with, one of the first things that they would tell you is they feel this huge weight off of their shoulders. They feel empowered, like they can do anything. So let's get tactical. Let's talk about how to break the cycle. So, of course, I have some steps, 7 of them. I don't know if I like this format, PS, by the way. I might break it up. I might not do this step-by-step thing anymore. I don't know. We'll see. It's my podcast. I can do what I want, right? So, sorry. I'm very distracted today. So here are the 7 steps on how you can stop being the unpaid emotional janitor for your family. Step number 1, call it what it is. It is not helping. We think it's helping to be the fixer, but it is not. It is dysfunction management, plain and simple. And naming it out loud gives you the power to step out of the fixer role and recognize what's actually yours and what's not. Step number 2, redefine what family means to you. Not what your sister thinks family is, not what your parents think family is. What does family mean to you? You get to decide who has a front row seat in your life. And let me tell you, DNA does not equal entitlement. Because sometimes chosen family, the people who truly see and support you, deserve the best seats. I personally have come to value much more some of the relationships that I have with people that I don't share DNA with. And there's nothing wrong with that. All right, step number 3. Start with micro boundaries, little teeny tiny ones, because boundaries don't have to be a dramatic exit. Think of them as small but mighty declarations, clear, direct statements that protect your energy without burning every single bridge. Things like, I'm not talking politics at dinner. Or, if this gets hostile, I'm leaving. 2 simple little statements there. Let me tell you, micro boundaries are the emotional strength training that lead to big, unshakable ones. That lead to the ones where you are an assertive powerhouse, where you are laying down the law, and people start getting very uncomfortable about being a-holes around you. That's where the direction that this can go. But it starts out small. And, you know, it's really funny because I can't remember if I ever told this story or not. You know, I'm at that age where I can't remember who I've told the story to. But a funny example of not necessarily strict boundary setting, but it was a boundary that happened nonetheless. I was sitting at a family gathering for a holiday, and it was my family of creation, so my husband and my 2 kids, and some extended family members. And of course, as always happened with this particular group of people, the topic turned to politics. And I don't share similar political beliefs with the majority of my family and my husband's family. And so we're sitting there and I was being very, very quiet, right? This was before, okay, I've always been assertive, but not to the level I am now. And a lot of times in certain environments, I would get quiet so that I wouldn't fight with people because if I pushed back, I was a little too aggressive back in the day. And so I just kept my mouth shut sometimes. And this was one of those times given the people that I was with. So I'm being very quiet. I'm internally getting very pissed with some of the things that were said because they were very broad generalizations about certain groups of people. And I was about to speak up. And then my daughter, who was probably like 10 at the time, she very innocently looks up. Now, my daughter, as a child, was very, very quiet. So people never expected her to speak out against anything, right? So this beautiful, sweet little 10-year-old girl just looks up and smiles and says, "My teacher told me that it's rude to talk about politics and religion at the dinner table." And everybody shut up and just looked at her because it was just something so out of the ordinary for her to say. And on the inside, I was like cheering her on. I was like, oh my gosh, that is my girl. Yes, girl, yes. I was so happy. And then, eventually the real me bubbled out to the surface, probably in my mid-30s. I started being more and more assertive, and then I hit my 40s and I was full on assertive, and now I'm in my 50s and I give 0 Fs about who I piss off. I try to be a good person and I speak out against people who are not. And I don't care if they like me or not. So see, ladies, if all else fails, when you hit menopause, you may naturally become more assertive anyway. Okay, see? Tangent. Here we go. Let's get back to the steps. Step number 4, detach from what's not yours. So, mantra time, ladies. Not my circus, not my monkeys. That's one of my favorite mantras that I have had to repeat to myself a million times. Because, something, you are allowed to hand back other people's emotional baggage, and you do not need to feel guilty for refusing to carry what was never yours to begin with, okay? Come up with your own mantra if you need to. I just like the not my circus, not my monkeys. And actually, my newest one is I remind myself that they are not my patients paying me for my services, so I'm not going to offer them up, right? All right, step number 5, find external support. This one is huge, especially if you are stuck, right? Whether it's therapy, coaching, support groups, or a friend who gets it. You need a space where you don't have to carry this alone. Because healing in community is often where the real breakthroughs happen. I've said a million times before, like, I love the work that I do, and I am privileged to be witness to see people grow into the beautiful, amazing humans that they are, that I know them to be from the moment that I see them. And I've done group therapy before, and I have seen the support of group members. It's a beautiful thing. I get to sit back as the therapist and watch people support one another, to validate one another. And that is just so, again, I feel so privileged to be a part of that, to witness this beautiful change that happens. So rely on your people. Find your people. And again, if you're having a hard time doing that, reach out to me. Let's do the work together. All right, step number 6, reclaim your emotional energy. Stop pouring your life force into fixing what isn't yours, okay? Instead, channel that very powerful energy into joy, into self-healing, and chasing dreams that light you up. Because, ladies, your time and spirit deserve to fuel your own freedom, not family chaos. And then number 7, this one should come as no surprise. Prepare for pushback and stand firm. As I had discussed earlier, families used to you playing the fixer won't always applaud your boundaries. But every time you hold the line, you teach them how to treat you. And let me tell you, you are worth it. All right, my queens, now for the quote of the week. This is from an unknown source. You are not required to set yourself on fire to keep other people warm. Oof, tattoo this on your soul if you need to hear it. You are not the firefighter for family dysfunction. Sometimes, my friends, the bravest and most radical act of self-love is to set down the hose and walk away. You are not responsible for making everything okay. All right, fellow queens, here's what I want you to remember. You are allowed to stop managing the chaos that you did not create. You can love your family without sacrificing yourself. And when you step out of that fixer role, you don't just free yourself. You model a different way of being for every woman watching you, whether she's your daughter, niece, sister, mother, or even a younger version of yourself. This is how generational cycles end. Not with more fixing, but with one powerful woman saying not anymore. So here's your challenge this week. Set one boundary with your family. Just one. It doesn't have to be loud or dramatic, just firm. Then notice how it feels to choose yourself. And then let me tell you, the icing on the cake for me would be if you would share that in our Facebook group. I want to hear more ladies winning. So please, please do me that honor of joining the Hint Hive podcast Facebook group. The link is right in the episode description because I want to hear from more of you. I know that more of you are out there. And always, if this episode hit home, share it with the women in your circle. Let's turn this into a boundary revolution because Hive, when one of us gets free, we all get a little freer. Until next week, you are not here to fix them. You are here to free yourself. This podcast is powered by Kelly Hint Empowerment Coaching, as well as Kelly M. Hint LMHC and The Cranky Counselor. To find out more about coaching services, head over to CoachKellyHint.com. If you'd like to know more about the psychotherapy services I offer to individuals within the state of New York, you can check out KellyMHint.com. And if you'd like to learn more about aromatherapy, you can check out TheCrankyCounselor.com.